Okay, so we're looking at circumference and what we call arc length. You guys all know about circumference. We're going to extend that idea into what we call arc length. Um, yeah, so that's our two big ideas today. Well, the one big idea is the arc length. Just a quick review of circumference. So let's quickly just review circumference. So if I want to find the circumference of these circles with the given radius and diameter, just a quick reminder, remember for circumference is just equal to 2 pi r, or you can also think of it as pi times the diameter if you want to, or you can just convert it either way. I usually just convert it so I don't have to remember two formulas. I just have to remember the 2 pi r for that. So for this first one, this one's got a radius of 24, so I would just go 2 times pi times 24 is what I would do for that. And generally speaking, we want to make sure that we are rounding to 2 decimal places. For this one, it'd give me 150.80 is what I'd have, and this would just be in inches is what we'd have. So that would be my circumference. Again, that's going to be the distance around the outside of the circle. So that should be good there. If it gives me the diameter, first thing I'm going to do is just divide that diameter by 2. So then that means that my radius is going to be 29.5 for this because I've divided this by 2, and that's what it gives me. Okay. And then I can just go 2 times pi times 29.5 for that one. And when you do that, you get 185.35 is what I end up with that one. Okay, so that should be a quick review of circumference. Again, that's just the distance. It's like if you were to, if you were to walk around the outside of that circle, that would be what they'd get for you is that distance around there. So let's extend this to this idea of arc length. Arc length, if I have a circle here, okay, what arc length is going to be is it is going to be the distance for part of the circle. So I'm going to say this point A here and this point B here, and I'm going to say I want the arc length, or I want the distance of that arc right there, okay? So that one in red. So that's just the distance, which is essentially just asking for part or piece of the whole circumference. That is what arc length. We're going to use L for this. We're going to use that. L is going to be our arc length. That's what we're going to use for that. There's a couple things we need to know. We do need to know the radius, of course. We got to know this radius as well. And then the other thing we have to know is we need to know this angle. We're going to call this N. That angle needs to be in radians is what we need. Okay, so it's got to be in radians for us to have that. To find the arc length, here's our formula for it. It's just the length or that arc length is going to be equal to that angle in radians times the radius. So it'd be N times R is essentially what we're going to be looking for. And that'll tell us the distance. Essentially what this is going to do, guys, essentially I could find the circumference and then just times it by the proportion that I need, essentially is what I'm doing here, because when I put it in radians, it puts it all in proportion for that is what we're doing with that. Okay, so let me look at a couple examples. Again, you'll want to remember this formula, and remember N has to be in radians as well, like we talked about this last unit. So if you didn't go over that video, make sure you go over the video on degrees and radians. Okay, so if I look at this example, I want this distance again from A to B. On both these, I want arc lengths here. So this one, I want this one right here. I know that my R is 12. My N, I've got a degree measurement, 45. So if you guys remember, I need to convert that. So that's going to be this 45, but I'm going to times it by pi over 180 for that to get that. So, and then if you guys remember, we want to leave it as a fraction. So I am going to take 45 and I'm going to simplify that 180. When I do that, that gives me 1/4. So 45 over 180 gives me 1/4. So this will just be 1 pi over 4 is essentially what n is going to give me here. And then from there, if I just want the arc length, all I do is go pi over 4, and I times it by my radius of 12. And so that should be really nice. Once you put that in there, this gives me, oops, not 3, wrong number, sorry, in the wrong spot here. So that should give me 9.43 is what that should give me. Okay, and this would be in whatever units I'd have. Like if this was inches, then this would be inches as well. So that's saying that distance right here is 9.43 inches is what I've got. Okay. Again, I need this in radians. You got to make sure that's in radians. Okay. If I look at this next example, it's telling me to rotate from this point all the way around to this point. So that's the long one. That's a rotation of 350 degrees. So again, I'm just going to look for my radians and my radius. My radius is nice. That's 10 centimeters. And then for my n, I've got to take 315 and I've got to times it by pi over 180. Which, when I do that, again, 315, I'm going to simplify the 180. And that's going to be 7 over 4. So that'd be 7 pi over 4. And so to find my length, I'm just going to go my n. Remember, my formula is n times r. So that would be 7 pi over 4. And then I'm going to times it by 10. And so I'm going to do that right now. So when I do that, I get 54.98, and this would be centimeters for that one. Okay, so that's arc length. Know how to find arc length for that. Okay, all right, this has been your Math Moment with Mummy. Adios.